That's like my biggest thing, even as now as a professional artist, because when you're always doing this, it gets really hard sometimes when we're doing that you're like, this is good content. It's really like difficult.
Howdy, folks. Brian here at the Redline Report, and today we're going to sit down with Mel of Fatty Pancake. And man, are we going to get into a good conversation. Just you wait. You're watching Redline Report. Right here with this
The
bap.
more you know.
Speaking of the more you know, Fatty
Yes.
Pancake. Gosh dang it. I swear I practiced this in my head like 10 times
my
when you're walking over.
goodness.
It's like Fatty Pancake. But I didn't say it out loud. That was a problem.
That's okay. That's
Fatty
okay.
Pancake.
I there was one time that I was going to ask about like day geckos, and every single time I tried to
Gay
say
geckos?
yes, it just came out that way, and I was like, you know what? I'm not even going to ask.
Okay, so Fatty Pancake.
Yes.
Certified artist.
Yeah, certified, because I don't think any artist is ever really truly certified. You just do it. Yes.
Yeah, that's fair. I guess that's fair. Tell me about it. What is Patty? what,
This is going to be a wonderful like cut, isn't it? It's just going to be like wonderful charm and delight this entire interview.
Yeah.
So you want to know about Fatty Pancake?
I want to know about Fatty Pancake.
Okay, well, Fatty Pancake is my little kind of joy and dream working with the reptile industry. And she was originally a bearded dragon that I had. So she was a rescue. And she is unfortunately no longer with me, and that's why she's sort of immortalized as my business name. But Sienna was the girl who kind of started it all. She was a little rescue, and she came to me with quite a few problems. So
Sienna and Fatty Pancake are the same.
they are,
Gotcha.
yes. I just started calling her my fat pancake. When I got her, we didn't know that she was egg-bound, and so I got her into surgery for a completely separate kind of like issue. And we discovered that she had a bunch of eggs in her. And so the vet was just like, let's just get rid of all these eggs while she's in surgery. And so we did, but her skin never shrank down afterwards. So when she laid on her basking spot, she looked like pancake batter just going blah, 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 blah. And it was so cute. And I was just like, well, you're my fat pancake. And that's where it came from.
So she is there on your shirt.
Yes.
She is represented. You have a booth for her. What happens? Is it? I can imagine it's not just so you can share the story of who that bearded dragon was.
That is, so the rest of this is all my art, my creations, because I love all animals, to be very honest, but reptiles have always been kind of like that special place in my heart, just because, you know, generally most people don't really care for them. They're just a little too weird, but I have always loved them. I found them charming. And when I started focusing on my artwork, I was leaning more towards like reptiles. And that's when I first started my business. I was like, what am I going to call this? You know, that's always one of the hardest things when you're starting a business is figuring out a name. And at the time, Sienna was with me, and so she became my fat pancake. And I'm like, you know what? I've got all this reptile stuff that I'm doing, and I've got you, my little fat pancake. I think it works. And so it just was born. So my artwork is now, you know, just a part of the business, and she is my little icon.
What type of art are we talking?
So I kind of do a mix of artwork. I have mostly cartoon, very kind of like whimsical and cute stuff. But I also have some nice little elegant stuff on the side that I like to do.
Is it drawing, like crafts, like
Actually,
painting?
a lot of different stuff.
Okay.
I'm kind of an artist that likes to work in a lot of different mediums. And like just recently, I started doing some laser cut projects and for like wall art. But most of the stuff that I do is I'll do like traditional and digital work. And, you know, I don't know, it's just like a lot of different things that I like to touch. I've done resin, woodwork, I do stickers, you know, I do buttons, and a lot of the stuff is all handmade. So it's all done in-house.
Oh, cool. You just run it out of your house, literal house.
Pretty much, yeah.
The laser cut, I think I saw that. Is that something you donated for the silent auction? One of the laser cut pieces?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, the green one with all the sparkles.
Nice.
Yes.
How did you get to a spot where, so how long have you been doing this as a business?
I started in 2016, but it didn't really start taking off until about like mid to late 2017.
Okay,
I started with some local shows and it just sort of, expanded from there. Yeah.
cool.
hmm
And how'd you get to the spot where I mean, you're like sponsoring the show. Like,
Yeah.
it's kind of big.
It is big. It is big. I just decided that, I've been a part of the community for so long and I've done donation work too for like US ARC and everything. But I'm just like, you know what? I've never sponsored an event and I really feel like this community has given a lot back to me. And it's time that I do the same thing for the community.
Hmm,
And I really want to show this particular show a lot of love and support. um, I love seeing new people like start new passion projects and I just want to be there to support them.
it's awesome. It's beautiful.
Mhm.
Why do you think this show in particular? I mean, I recognize the passion they're putting into it for sure. I mean,
Oh
it's
yeah, for sure.
yeah.
Mostly because we did not really have a large event here in Colorado anymore. And when they stepped in and they showed like how much dedication and devotion that they were like pouring into it, I was like, count me in here. Let's get this moving. I was on fire to see this be successful.
It's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, it's sweet.
I really hope that they grow. Like I know that they've already got several shows out of state now, and I'm just like, hey, go, keep
It
going, get
it is
bigger.
it's growing very quick. I was amazed. Like the first show was in April. Now here's the second show.
Yeah,
Now there's a third and a fourth already in the same year that it first started. So
I
and I know
know,
they're
and that's
putting in the work, running
awesome.
around trying to find spots and like putting the boots on the ground and running around trying to find the spots, doing the networking and whatnot. But
hmm
and then like I agree with you. Like the heart that's behind it, it's
It's
pretty awesome.
there.
Yeah.
It's growing, and I love it. That's one of the things that I like about this community as a whole, the reptile industry, is that we have our backs, like a lot of us, and it's like, yeah, every now and again we kind of have like bad actors that kind of come into the community, but we're pretty quick on kind of like, like kind of skirting in there and kind of like either encouraging a readjustment, or I don't know, they kind of leave. But by and large, I just think that we show a lot of love for each other, and this is like one of the few places where I actually feel like I belong. And I just, really want to continue like supporting all of this. So, that's just where it's landed me like right now in my life. Yeah,
It's awesome, Mel.
thank you.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah,
Why do you think reptiles? Like you love all animals.
I do. Yeah.
I guess you already answered that question when you were kind of talking about that they kind of get pushed aside by the general public and they're not as
Yeah.
loved as
Yeah.
what's interesting to me. Turtles don't get that same rap with the rest of the
They
reptile.
don't.
They don't.
But I think they're cuter. They have cuter faces and stuff. Although, like when you look at a ball python, it's like when you look at that face, how could you be like repulsed by that? That's what I don't
I
understand.
honestly look at a ball python face. I mean, obviously, I'm probably biased, but I
Oh,
look at it
sure.
and the ball python face to me looks more cute and innocent than a turtle,
I agree.
like tenfold.
I agree tenfold. Yes.
I think the thing is that in like different, art or movies and stories, like the snake in general just kind of gets more of a demonized type of thing, whereas a turtle gets drawn as a cute stuff, cartoon. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, I have a rosy boa who's also equally adorable. Like, there's just certain mannerisms about like all animals, I think, that if you look close enough, you can find endearing. But I think that too many people have just like a weird fear. And they haven't like they learned it from somebody else, like maybe somebody in the family, or they just whether it was a cultural thing or something. And I think that knowing and learning about them just helps to like completely dissolve a lot of that fear. And so, I don't know, I just always have loved their patterns and their colors and just some behaviors, like how they move even. Like the differences on how snakes move. Like I always really like looking at gaboon vipers and how they like inchworm
Yeah, that
themselves when they
rectilinear
crawl.
movement.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love that. And it's just like we're also learning so much about them. And it's just like I feel like we haven't even uncovered everything about
Not even close.
reptiles.
Not
Not
even
even
close.
close. And so the more we discover and the more that we learn about them, I think that the veil of kind of disgust kind of drops and where people become more fascinated. So it's like I didn't learn that bearded dragons actually had like a REM sleep for a long time. And they do. And I thought that was pretty fascinating.
That is fascinating.
Yeah. So it's if beardies dream, what do they dream of? Like their favorite basking spots, their favorite meals, their favorite worms? Who knows?
That's interesting. I didn't realize. I learned all kind. The plant thing too. I think here is like kind of cool, where it's tying together a couple different of, the plant community with the reptile community kind of go well together. I think, even though
Yes,
they're
they
so
do.
different, they are
They
very
do.
different. Like a plant versus like a reptile. It's a very drastic difference between like even a dog and a reptile, which is also a very different world. I think you go to a dog show in
I've
Canada.
never been to one. I've never been to a dog or a cat show before. Have you?
Only because the Canadian Reptile Expo is also mixed with the all animal thing. It's like an all animal thing. So
Oh,
you got the
okay.
reptile
Okay,
thing
that
that's kind
makes
of outside,
sense.
but then they have dogs and like all kinds of other animals coming around the show too. A little pig that goes around in a
Gotcha.
remote control car. Yeah, all kinds of stuff like that.
Okay, that's
That's the
cool.
that's the only one. But this one seems to be bringing together. Like I feel like the plants and reptiles just go really well. They complement each other really well.
I think it was funny because I was saying this exact same thing to like a customer who had wandered by, and they were talking about this very thing, and I was like, I don't know, they kind of fit well together because now we're starting to do more bioactive enclosures. This has become the norm now, and it makes sense that we start to draw all of these things together, and just build environments for our creatures in very not just aesthetically pleasing just for us, because let's face it, that is a factor of it, but also enrichment for them. And I also think there's something zen like in doing gardening with the plants, like once you actually get them established in terrariums. I used to be a terrible plant person. I used to like kill everything that ever came into my house. And then when I started keeping reptiles, I started learning a little bit more. So, I started with a pothos, which is like the easiest thing you could
Yes.
possibly care for, but it's grown. And now I can actually have like, I've been growing orchids and I've been growing like things that I never even conceived of growing before. And I'm just like, I actually can be a plant person. So
It's awesome.
it's fun, Yeah.
I learned something new today too. That there's a plant out there. There are apparently people breed plants for different morphs of plants. Like they have these
I
variegated and
did
like this
too.
albinism thing and like even
Yes.
pied type of
Was it
looking
the
plant.
yeah, the pie the it was like a pale kind of
Like
pothos plant or
yeah,
something?
Nature RX or something, or it was the I can't remember their name right now. Dang it.
I don't remember what it was called, but I know that the person said that they paid like $100 for a plant,
Mm.
and it was like yay big. It was like so
The one I
tiny.
was looking at had more like these kind of bigger leaves, like pointed kind of leaves, but
Mhm.
she said it was like $1,000 for the plant.
Oh my gosh, that is
Yeah,
crazy. But, you're at the right place for it if you want to look for something like super unique because people do all sorts of crazy stuff here.
yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, it is pretty wild. Just even in this little conference room here, there's like all kinds of really different stuff happening, and there's only a
Mhm.
few vendors. So,
I know.
like that. Oh, look at that thing. It's,
The the
porcelain
cr-
cakes.
I did not stop by there, but I did stop by the ceramist that's over here. I ended up picking up one of her pieces last night because I was like, "Girl, you need to charge so much more for your work. They're so pretty." And yeah, so
I'm gonna have to
anyway.
take a closer look over that. Speaking of work, where is the best place that people want to follow what you're doing with your art and Fatty Pancake? Where's the best place for people to follow along with all that and
Oh,
find
one
your work?
one fatty pancake on Instagram and on Facebook. I do have a TikTok, but it's kind of defunct. I don't really post a whole lot there, but it's all the same name and it's one spelled out.
So
Yes.
ONE Fatty
Yes.
Pancake. Right.
Exactly.
Links in the description for all that stuff. But
Yes.
um,
Thank you.
is there anything before I let you get back to your booth? Which thank you
Sure.
for stepping away for a bit for me.
Yeah, no worries.
Is there anything you want to share with folks out there? Any words of encouragement? Anything besides following where you can, or besides where they can follow you with all your work and stuff?
Follow your passion because you don't know where it's going to take you. You don't have to go like whole hog with it, but if you still want to start slow, grow, and see where it takes you. Yep,
Awesome,
that's
Mel.
it. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
I
thank you for taking
appreciate
time.
this.
Yeah, I appreciate
Yeah.
you. It's
Yeah.
awesome. I love the passion you have for it. It's like clear. I could just see it
Thank
pouring out of
you.
your eyes. Is
I
cool.
I am like I always love coming to these events. They're so tiring at the end of the weekend, but man, just to be able to visit everybody and like it feels like reunions for me, and I'm just like I'm in my element, I'm surrounded by things that just bring me a lot of enjoyment. And because I'm kind of like a hermit most of the time. I just sit inside of my house like drawing. I mean, I think that's most artists and creatives out there. We don't really get out too much. But yeah, so when I'm in these spaces, I just feel like I'm in my zone. I am zenning. Although today I'm just like, too much caffeine from earlier today. And I'm just like,
Maybe one less cup.
I know, I know. It's like, okay, I did not need that venti this morning. But yeah, I do appreciate this.
Yeah, awesome. That was great to chat with you again. Thank you for taking
Yeah.
time to step away from your booth. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you. That's like my biggest thing, even as now as a professional artist, because when you're always doing this, it gets really hard sometimes when we're doing that you're like, this is good content. It's really like difficult sometimes as a creative to just remember why you started. Um and y- I don't know, it's just I love a lot of the creation process, but when you run a business, you forget like there's a part of that creative process that kind of gets like neutralized a little bit. And because now there's logistical things that you have to remember to do. And yeah, so when you're knee deep in that part that you hate so much, you're just like, okay, let's push back just a little bit. Let's remember why we're doing this, and it's because of how much you love actually doing the art and the creative work. And if it becomes something that you're starting to resent, do what you need to do to kind of just like reconfigure yourself. If that's taking a short break, or, maybe just letting go and not doing what you normally do, just kind of, just turn off any valve of control and just let yourself go and do something like you have never done before to just kind of get like energy and stress and frustration out. And that could be, just like practicing a new medium that you've never done before, or doing like going out and doing like life studies or plein air or, like just painting in, real time or whatever. You know, I think that stuff is so good and refreshing because when we get too stuck in what we are doing normally, it becomes routine. And that routine can feel more like a job. And once it becomes more of a job, then that love actually starts to die a little bit.
Mm.
And I see a lot of artists who burn out when that hits. And there have been so many times where my anxiety levels were just through the roof when it came to this business, and I had to stop and I had to like do that very thing. I had to take my own advice. And I think I took like, oh gosh, for I want to say like a good half year, I was going through anxiety problems because I have ADHD and I have a history of anxiety and depression. And so for me, my anxiety was just like through the roof when it came to my finances and my scheduling and making sure that, everything was right, getting product out, making sure everything looked like uh, perfect, because nothing ever really looks perfect. But your brain and your thought process, when it's so fixated on certain things, you know, you want it to look like epic. You want it to be like the thing in your brain, even though reality sometimes doesn't jive with that. And yeah, so you just have to show yourself grace, and you have to understand that when things get to be too much, when to pull back and when to start like analyzing, I'm losing control. I don't want to lose any more control. Let's just like pull back a little bit and start like either relaxing, doing something different to try and like get myself back onto a mental track. But
I think that's one of the most important parts of the creative process is
yes.
to have that. rest, do something. Even rest doesn't mean
Yes.
just necessarily sit down and not do anything. It means just, like you said,
Yeah.
do something different.
Yes.
Even
Go
just
out herping,
yeah,
Go out
exactly.
herping. Like go hiking, go on camping trips, do whatever. If you need to take a vacation like to just some other place to defuse, do it. But yeah, we have to understand that work is not like our lives, and that it's okay to be like graceful towards ourselves, and to be, just like know where our limits are, and just be like, okay, hard stop, we're not going to go anymore, we're just going to like make sure that I don't get any more stressed, I don't get any more like anxiety, and I, just kind of mellow out just a little bit. So yeah.
It's
Anyway,
important.
my rambly bit right there.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's going in the video. So
Sweet, sweet,
I
sweet.
know when a faucet starts going, I'm like, okay, go hold on.
I know you're just like,
But
slide that up.
sometimes like my idea to do these like is like it's one or the other. Like maybe do the interview, like we start, and then I'm like, all right, that was cool, and then we'll sit and chat maybe and see what happens. And then that's kind of like the process. I used to do a thing where I would sit down and we chat, and I would tell people like let's just like test the stuff and make sure everything's working, and we just kind of
Chit
get into
chat.
natural chit chat,
Hmm.
and then and I did this a lot, and I kind of got away from it, but we'd chat for a while about something pretty cool or whatever it was that came up naturally, and
Yes,
then
yes.
and then they'd be like, okay, when are we going to start the interview? I was like, we're done.
Yeah, we've already done it. What are you talking about? But that's also nice too, because it feels more like natural,
Yeah.
when you can just get into that rhythm and that flow of
Yeah,
combo.
and
Yeah.
that's what I want to do. But once you sit down with the lights and the microphones, it can easily take away from that. Even from me, I still
Yeah,
see,
you're just like, oh
as
my
much as I
gosh,
do it, I can.
this feels so professional,
And it happens to me too. I do it all the time, but it still happens to me where I'm like, just loosen up, dude. Like, let's get in the
It's like,
spot.
this
And
is okay.
yeah,
We're just having a convo here, guys.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, not gonna lie, my anxiety probably was up because of this, today a little bit. So I was just like, oh my gosh, it's gotta be done. It's gotta be done. It's gotta be done. Don't hyperventilate.
you did
Don't
it. You did
hyperventilate.
it. You
I
did
did
well.
it.
You did it fantastic.
I hope so.
It was great. If I'm not having to like pull stuff out of you, and for me, if it goes, it was when the faucet starts pouring, and like the stuff just starts flowing. I'm like, it's going great. And if I'm
Yes.
having to be like, what about?
It's like, just ask keep
What
questions.
about
Keep
this?
questions.
What about this? What about this? What about this? But no,
Yeah.
that's not what I had to do today. So thank you.
That's awesome. Well, that's good. And thanks again. I really appreciated
Yeah.
this. This was wonderful
Yeah, it
talking
was
with you.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So who do you have left for the day? Or are you
Nobody.
pretty much done?
Yeah. Then
Yeah.
I just do the little intro outro monologue, and then I'm gonna sit down with Robin at some point, probably tomorrow,
Okay.
and then do just filming for the show. Get a bunch of
Get
a lot of footage for them, so just so I can put together a bunch of little stuff for them to put on Instagram and whatnot.
How long does it usually take you to edit this stuff?
This is a bit easier because it's
Hmm.
mostly just I'm not really editing it too much, just cutting between the different takes. So I've got a pretty good flow for this. I just do a multi-camera edit, and I got this little editor thing. I just hit camera 1, 2, 3 as it's rolling. It'll just play, and I can see all three of the screens at once, so I can like see and then I can see the audio waveforms too, and I can see if it's like I'm gonna start talking or not, and I just
Hmm.
like kind of cut and do like J cuts and whatnot. So like I might be talking, but it's still showing you, and
I
like.
got you.
But that's a pretty easy flow. The more cinematic stuff where I've got all these different cuts and different B-roll shots and like different
Yes.
crafting a story based off like the footage that I shot
Yeah.
for the whole day. That's a bit more work.
You probably have to do a lot of planning for that, don't you?
I do, but I also kind of have a flow of like just record and then I'll figure something out with it later.
So you freeform it.
I do both. I do everything.
Okay.
I've done everything from where I do the uncut videos. I do the videos where I plan out, and I do videos where I have a script and a
Hmm.
shot list of like I need this shot and this shot and this shot and this
I
shot. I'll
was
go there
just
and
gonna
check it off.
say,
Check. I got this
yeah.
shot. I got that shot. I got this
You're
shot.
like storyboarding these
Storyboarding.
things. Yeah. Mhm.
I do everything in between.
Okay.
All of it.
All right.
Just
So you've
that style and
you've done it all.
free form.
You've
Like,
done it all. So have you? I mean, this is your full time thing, right?
Yeah.
Or is this okay? Okay. What were you doing before you started this?
I've played music professionally for about 10, 12 years.
Okay.
I
What kind?
also reggae and blues.
Nice. That's awesome.
And then
That's
I did
awesome.
construction with my uncle for a couple years while I was getting YouTube channel started. I was in Hawaii doing that music
Okay.
stuff.
All
Then we
right.
moved back to California when my first son was born, and then we yeah, I ended up moving down to the Central Coast because my uncle needed help with his construction stuff. So
Gotcha.
I did that. I learned some cool stuff there. Built my own snake room with the stuff I learned from
Hey, there you go.
uncle. So I know how to build stuff. I can build a house now, so that's pretty cool.
I do woodworking sometimes. I am like a woman of many hobbies. Like I've done so much stuff and I built like all my reptile enclosures and I just like I like working with wood a lot and because it's just like there's
Wood
some
is
things
great.
I love it. I know it's like working with all the stains and everything
Yeah.
and at some point I want to do like a new dining table and I want to do like now that I got my laser cutter to a place where I can actually do like really cool and fun stuff with it. I want to do like an inset inside of the top of the table
Oh,
and
that'd be
do
epic.
like a lot of really cool like reptile themed stuff inside of there
Yeah,
and
that would be sweet.
big big plans, but of course it's like where do I pencil this in between everything
Oh, I
else
hear
that
you.
I'm
Yeah, I've been
doing?
with kids and travel, and I've been doing youth worship on Tuesday, Wednesday nights down the street of the church. So I'm just like I'm all over the place.
I know, I
It's
know.
which is great. It's fun. I finally found it. Last year I was feeling completely overwhelmed
Yes.
and mentally strained and physically strained. This year's like a whole different story. This school year
It
starting
feels a
off
little bit more like
a
relaxed.
little more routine. I've got like an idea of what's happening there, and then I've started to take better care of myself, and so
Mhm.
like that always helped. My mental health and physical health are like stuck like this, which is a
Yes.
blessing and a curse. But um, when I start doing better physically, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, of course I have time to do this. I've
Dude, I
all
have
the
all
mental
this
energy. Yeah, I have
energy.
all this
I
energy.
know.
Like I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna
I
do this, and I'm actually gonna sleep well at
when
night.
COVID hit, I started doing weightlifting and I lost like I want to say it was like 25 or 30 close to 30 pounds and I felt like I couldn't sit down. Like literally, I was sitting down and I'm just like I must move, you know?
Yeah,
So I'm like I'm getting up and I'm just walking around and I'm like, "Girl, you can't paint like while you're walking around your house, you know? You have to be sitting at your tablet." So like, okay, how do I balance this, you know? I'm just like, I don't know, I'll just have to figure it out, I guess, you know? So it's I kind of fell out of it just a little bit, but I've been getting back into it again because I absolutely love weightlifting. So yeah. But yeah, it's like everything else in life, you know, you're just kind of trying to fit it into that little block of life and time that we all
find that
have.
balance. The
Yep.
balance.
I know. All right, I probably need to get back to the table.
Okay.
So I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank
Thanks
you
again, Mel.
so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you.
Yes.
Big thank you to Mel for coming on and being awesome. Go follow her at all the links in the description. You can see her work, her artwork, and get inspired by her awesomeness there. And next week we'll have, Lord willing, a equally awesome guest to share with you here on the Redline Report. And we'll see you then. Yes. Don't mind me. That show up on the audio waveform.